Hey, what's going on out there, fishing fam? Ray Sharif here with the Dirty Hookers, and today I'm doing another tackle bag / arsenal breakdown for anything from a full day all the way up to a 2-day if you're going out anytime soon looking for tuna, dorado, or yellowtail offshore. It's pretty phenomenal fishing right now with almost every single species offshore that we have here in Southern California to be offered in the same zones at the moment. Anything from yellowfin, bluefin, dorado, and yellowtail on kelp patties, even open water schools, and still nighttime jigging stuff as well. So I'm gonna go over everything that I would personally take on an overnight up to a 2-day, along with some full day stuff as well. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into this video and talk a little bit about what I would take. So I just got back from a 1.5 day aboard the Highliner out of Seaforth Landing. We had a super incredible time. Full speed dorado that wanted to eat the paint off the boat, along with yellowfin. If you were able to get underneath the dorado, you can almost guarantee yourself a yellowfin. The setup that I used for almost the entire trip was this 40-pound fly line rod. This is a 20 to 50-pound Phoenix 8-foot black diamond. And I have this rod paired up with a Torium 20 spooled up with 65-pound braid backing to about a 100-yard top shot of 40-pound monofilament to about a 6-foot leader of 40-pound OffShore fluorocarbon. And as for what hooks to use, it all depends on what's biting. If you guys are on strictly tuna, I would highly recommend size 4 circle hooks. I like the Owner Mutu circle hooks. And if you're on a kelp patty with dorado or yellowtail, I was using size 2-watt live bait J hooks, because when the dorado are full speed, they're going to be swallowing that bait. You're going to be breaking off quite a bit. They have really sharp teeth. So having a 50 pack is very essential, because you're going to burn through a lot of hooks if the dorado are as full speed as what we had. This was my go-to setup for the whole day. I started off with a 30-pound stick, almost exact same setup, but this one's a Torium 16 with an 8.6 20 to 50-pound black diamond rod. But I broke off first bait of the morning, first line in the water on what I think was a pretty nice size yellowtail. Because I was too stubborn to sit there and re-rig up, I went ahead and grabbed my 40-pound stick, and it didn't matter. All the fish that were in the water really wanted to eat, so I was fishing 40-pound the entire time, which was a big bonus, because when those yellowfin came through and they were 20 to 30-pound fish, it was nice to have that extra pulling power with 40-pound. If the fishing's full speed, I highly recommend a 40-pound fly line setup. If it's a little bit more finicky, 25 to 30-pound is what I would be using. This is what I would actually start off with first thing in the day, and this is what I would fish mainly. But if the fish go full speed, I highly recommend fishing 40-pound and capitalizing on the opportunity. I have been using OffShore fluorocarbon for a while now. They make anything from 6-pound tests for you trout fishers and finesse fishers, all the way up to 130-pound tests for you big bluefin fishers and anything in between. If you want to save 15% off, use code DIRTYHOOKER at checkout on offshoreUSA.com, and I'll have that link down in the description below. Again, that's code DIRTYHOOKER for 15% off your total purchase. So a 25 to 30-pound fly line setup along with a 40-pound fly line setup. Other than fly line, the next best setup that I would highly recommend for bait fishing during the daytime would be a 50 to 60-pound sinker rig setup. My sinker rig setup of choice is a Phoenix Axis 7/8 heavy, rated 40 to 100 pound. I have it paired up with a Daiwa Saltist 50 lever drag, spooled up with 80-pound braid backing to a top shot of 60-pound monofilament to the new 60-pound OffShore fluorocarbon. You can also use a 50-pound sinker rig setup if wanted. 50-pound is a little bit more universal. 60-pound is starting to get into that thicker range, where 50-pound might be a little bit more ideal for smaller grade fish and big grade fish, anything from 30-pound bluefin tuna all the way up to 100-pound bluefin tuna. As for the 60-pound, I'm not saying that the smaller fish won't eat it or that you won't get bit on it, but if it were up to me and I'm hooking a possible 100-pound fish down deep, I'm gonna want the heaviest line I can get away. And I personally would like to fish 60-pound for my sinker rig setup. Next up, we're gonna be talking about casting setups, and what I personally use is a Phoenix Axis 909 HJ. This is rated 30 to 80 pounds. It's pretty much my heavy yellowtail jig stick, but it works great for casting at tuna, yellowfin, and bluefin, foamer fishing. This is a great heavy jig stick. And then I have that paired up with a Trinidad 20A, spooled up with 65-pound braid backing and a top shot of 50-pound monofilament. And the 3 types of lures I would recommend for bringing on trips like this right now is going to be poppers, surface irons, and sniper style baits. There was a good amount of yellowfin tuna landed on the all clear poppers, specifically the feed 150 size. It was working really well. They wanted it pretty fast this trip, but every single trip is different. Maybe they want it slow, they want a big dead stick, long pauses, but this trip they specifically wanted it pretty fast. And and it was really, really cool watching them blow up on the popper. If you pull up on a kelp patty with yellowtail or dorado, it doesn't hurt to throw the surface iron, but I will say for dorado fishing, it is a little bit tougher to keep them pinned on the surface iron because when they jump and start throwing around their head, and it's very easy for the hook to pop free. I got quite a few dorado on the steel bait DS9 surface iron on this trip, but the ones that stayed glued are the ones that didn't jump too much. It's a little bit tougher to keep the dorado pinned, but for yellowtail, surface irons will work on kelp patties perfectly fine. The last casting lures that I would recommend are sniper style baits. Anything from an actual Shimano Colt Sniper, and the new RW Peanuts have been doing pretty well. Anything from 80 grams up to 120, 150 grams has been pretty effective lately. I personally prefer the more traditional, more realistic colors. That's why I really like the sardine color, especially on the RW. It's very, very good looking, realistic sardine pattern, that lime green back. Really, really cool. But if I wanted something that wasn't your quite realistic traditional color, it would definitely be Katy Perry, blue back, silver middle, pink belly, or all pink, which I'm currently all out of. Those more pink colors have been doing really well for me over the last couple years, specifically for yellowfin tuna. Casting them out and retrieving when they're boiling, or fishing them perfectly vertically, you kind of want to play with it and figure it out as you go. While we're on the subject of fishing things vertical, the last thing that you're going to want, especially for anything from overnight up to 2 and 3+ day trips, you're definitely going to want a 100-pound setup. My personal rail rod is a Phoenix Black Diamond Hybrid, rated 60 to 130 pounds, and I have it paired up with a Talica 25, spooled up with a 100-pound braid. And I have my braid marked out at every 50 feet, so that way I can focus on exactly the water column that the captain keeps you updated with. And to that, I do about a 10-foot leader with my braid straight to the fluorocarbon of 130-pound fluorocarbon. I don't do a crimp leader or attach a swivel in between at all. The reason why I do it this way is so that I have a little bit of an indicator. As soon as I feel that connection knot going through the guides, it warns me that I need to stop and slow down. That way I don't accidentally wind a swivel or my jig straight into the tip of my rod and crack my ceramic, because then I'm out of commission on my 100-pound setup. So this is my personal way to have like a little bit of an indication to warn me when my jig is about to hit the surface. And we recommend anything from 250 grams all the way up to 400-gram jigs, just to be a little bit more prepared depending on what the current situation is like. This trip, unfortunately, we didn't hook any nighttime fish, but we stopped on them all night long into both nights of fishing. We found them pretty early on in the first night, stopped on probably close to 20 schools, but nobody hooked up, unfortunately. They just weren't willing to eat. And the second night, stopped on a handful, but again, just were not willing to eat. But it is highly, highly recommended to have a 100-pound setup just in case for when those fish do want to bite and cooperate. My two personal favorite colors for knife jig fishing, seems like everybody's been doing pretty well on these lately. It seems like a beloved fan favorite now, the Richwin Sriracha jig. It seems like everybody wants to fish these now. I did really, really well on them earlier in the season. And then other than that, I also, again, really, really like Katy Perry. If they're biting on something that has a little bit more glow, like this cotton candy is all glow, then try something with more glow. And if you notice people getting bit on something with less glow and just a little bit more silvery, try something like this. Just very, very flashy, very, very reflective in the water. Or if they're biting on something with very minimal glow, that's where I really like the Sriracha color. It's got just little tiny polka dots on there to help not give off too much UV light down below, but also just enough to be a little bit more noticeable down there. And that's gonna be everything that I would highly recommend bringing out if you're going out anytime soon. If you're going out a full day trip, you may not need that 100-pound setup, but it doesn't hurt to bring. But if you're going out from anything from an overnight all the way up to a 2+ day, this is everything I would recommend to bring. 25 to 30-pound fly line setup, 40-pound fly line setup, 50, 60-pound sinker rig setup, 40 to 50-pound sniper / casting setup, and the 100-pound rail rod / jigging setup. I can show you everything else that's still in this tackle bag that I didn't go over, but just to save time and minimize it as much as I can, this is everything that was working specifically for our trip and everything that I would highly recommend for bringing out during this time frame. Again, the fishing is incredible right now, and we are catching any and all offshore species right now. There's been marlin being spotted, dorado are really good right now, anything from like 2 to 4 pounders to kelp patties holding up to 20, 40 pounders. We stopped on one kelp patty that produced a 20-pound fish and even sighted a 45-pound dorado as well. Really good grade yellowtail fishing on kelp patties as well. 15 to 20 plus pound yellowtail. Yellowfin fishing is anywhere from 15 to 35-pound fish up to 40-pound fish sometimes. And bluefin fishing can be anywhere from 30-pound fish to 200-pound fish. So it's very, very crucial to have so many different setups for each application of opportunity that you might encounter offshore on the water. Last year's dorado fishing was absolutely historic for Southern California fishing, and I never thought I would see another day of dorado fishing that even compared to that, but it seems like if you find the right kelp patty, it can be equally as good. Not the same consistent size frame as it was last year. They were a little bit smaller, but that can change day by day. Dorado do grow very fast, so these 2-pound fish in the next month can be 4 to 5 pound, 6-pound fish. And also finding the right kelp patty also is holding very, very sizable dorado as well. So it all depends on what kelp or what open water school you stop on. That's why it's so crucial to have so many different setups rigged and ready for each opportunity presented. With that being said, that pretty much covers everything that is really ideal to take out right now on a trip. And this video is going to be something special. I'm really looking forward to putting out this footage for you guys. So stay tuned. Hopefully I'll get it out either maybe Sunday or early into the next week. Really looking forward to releasing this footage. It was a seriously incredible day of fishing offshore, and I got to give a big thank you to Jason and the crew, Max, Mason, Mike, and Alex. Very, very hardworking crew. They really try hard to give you guys the best experience out there. I would highly recommend booking with them. There's a couple of open parties that are listed on Seaforth Sport Fishing right now. Go ahead and give them a check out and get out there and get big, guys. Best of luck to you all the rest of this season, and I'll see you all next time.